Hello, once again, my name is Brad Phillips. I'm here with Puppy Steps Training, and I have Barley in the crate with us today. I'm very excited to do his demonstration and show you everything that we've taught him and that he's learned over the last 8 weeks. He's a very sweet little dog, but remember, he is pretty sensitive, and so it is going to be important over the next little bit while he transitions to be patient with him. Still expect him to do the behaviors. Don't let him get away with telling you that he's too small or he's too sad. We have been helping him through that, trying to build some confidence and help him understand that he will get rewarded when he does the correct behavior, but he doesn't get to just ignore you and run and hide if he doesn't want to do it. Or more so, Barley's speed is just to lay down and get lower, maybe even roll over and hope that you'll pick him up, which I have not been doing for the last 3 or 4 weeks. He doesn't need to get picked up. He just needs to understand that we just need to do what's asked, and then everything gets easier and gets better. Hey, we don't want to coddle him. We don't want him thinking that if he tells you he's too sad or he's too small that he can get out of doing whatever was asked, whether that's a command or whether that's just walking down the street. But he's been doing a lot better. I'm super excited once again to show you what he's been working on and where he's at. So we are going to first dive into his manners. The first manner that I am going to show you is his gates and his doorways. So we have taught Barley that every closed door he is expected to wait for me to release him. And this is any door that we're going through together or that I am allowing him to come through. So that's the crate doors, it's gates outside, kennel doors, or any of our closed doors in your home. You can absolutely teach him different thresholds. It doesn't have to be a doorway. However, right now, where he's at, it's with every closed door. So when I let him out of the crate, I'm going to wait for him to show that he's in control. Barley does not get to just burst out of the crate and go running. If he ever does that, I'm going to tell him no. I'm going to go and get him, have him go back in, and we're going to do it again. We don't want Barley thinking that if he's fast enough or if he's sneaky enough, he can get away with ignoring these manners. So if we're going through an exterior house door, usually I do have a leash attached, so that way if he tries to run through, I could give him just a very simple correction. Or I can open that door with my back turned so that I can use my feet to block him. I don't care what position Barley's in. He can be standing, sitting, laying down. That doesn't matter. He just needs to show that he's in control and he's looking to me for permission to go through that threshold. I also don't care who goes first, whether it's him or me. Once again, it's just more important that he's showing that he's in control. And same thing with an exterior door. If you ever open that and he tries to just break through it, I will go and get him, tell him no, have him do it correctly. We never end on failure. We're always going to help him succeed, no matter how simple the behavior is. So we are going to pull him out of the crate, and then I am going to have him ring the bells. Just 1, to show you that he'll do it, and 2, to let him go to the bathroom as he has been in the crate while I've been getting ready. So on that note, real quick, I want to touch base on the bells. So in this informational video that you should have watched first, you saw a different dog named, I believe it's Mojo on that video, that goes through the whole process. You know, we ring the bells off the door and then we hang them. Barley is a little bit slower with that, so make sure that you're patient. Don't bounce the bells off of him. Make sure that you give him time to ring it himself. And same thing on the door. We've been really encouraging him to ring them louder, as well as just building confidence with actually touching the bells. For the first little bit, he did not want anything to do with them. He wasn't having a bunch of accidents in here. He would actually hold it for a very long time. He just didn't love touching the bells. So I want to make sure that he's ringing those, that he's actually touching them, and I'm going to reward that and then take him out. So you're going to see me do that right now, and then we'll come back in and we'll get going with all of the other manners that we'll demonstrate. All right, so when I let Barley out, once again, I'm not just going to fling this open. I am going to make sure that he is showing that he's in control. Even if he just stuck one paw out, I might close this door, tell him no. I just want to make sure, no, see, like that. Make sure that he is showing that he can be in control. Okay, good boy, good boy. So I'm going to hook this leash on Barley. We're going to ring the bell and see if he needs to go to the bathroom. Good boy, come here. So I'll walk over, I'm staring at the bells, waiting for him to touch them. And once he does, then I'll say, okay, outside. Right. It was close. He kind of sniffed them there, but like I said, I want him to touch them a little bit harder. So that's what I'm waiting. Okay, outside, good boy. That was still a little softer, but he sniffed them twice. Now I'm going to have him ring it one more time. A little harder. I said we've been working on this, so I ignore the light taps. The first couple days, it's okay to reward those. Okay, outside, good boy. But I'm waiting for something like that where he touches it a little bit, just a little bit harder. Okay, good boy. Same expectation for going in. He's showing me he's waiting. Okay, good boy. And then I release him with okay. All right, so now we're going to talk about our greeting. So our greeting is sometimes called our sit to greet. This is a replacement behavior and for jumping, and this is the behavior that I want him to give me every time I call him over, or if I've been away for a while. I want him to show that he's in control and he's being polite, waiting for me to acknowledge him versus jumping up or doing some sort of negative behavior. Barley, come here. So I call him over, and right there, okay, good boy. He sits, he gets rewarded. For us, we've started to wean these treats off for this behavior because what he gets instead is my attention. So once again, this is the behavior. How he gets my attention is by coming over, sitting, showing that he can be polite and he can be in control. So now we've been just giving him some affection. Good boy. Good boy. Barley. So he comes, woo. Barley, come here. Good boy. So he sits. Good dog. Good boy. So this is the behavior that I want him to do for you. So I'm going to give you an exercise that you are going to do over the next 3 days. So you'll do it probably 2 or 3 times a day for the next 3 days. And this is just helping him understand the expected behavior. Okay, outside, good boy. See, that is an example, good dog, of how I want him to ring the bells, which he didn't go the first time going out. So now we're going to give him another opportunity. Okay. Okay. I'm very happy that he went over and demonstrated that, because initially when I had him ring the bells, we're still pretty soft. But that was an example of what we've been rewarding and what we've been expecting out of Barley. So for him to go over, ring them a little bit more to where we can actually hear the bells, and it's more of a harder touch versus more of a graze. So happy that he did that. So now going back to our greeting. So once again, this is a replacement behavior for jumping. I want him to sit to get my attention, and I'm going to give him some praise and affection when he does. For the next week, I want you to pretty heavily reward Barley when he comes over and presents this greeting. So if he sits in front of you, make sure to pet him, make sure to tell him he's a good boy, and I would give him a treat as well. So over the next 3 days, you're going to do this exercise I'm going to show you 2 or 3 times. And this is just helping him understand that you have the same expectations that I do. So what you're going to do, you're going to take the leash, you're going to take a few treats, and I'm just going to say his name, step backwards, and wait for him to sit. So one, this is getting him to do the greeting, but this is also engaging with him, and it's going to help him create this relationship with you quicker. So it looks like this. I'm going to say, Barley. I'm going to walk back. He sits. Okay, good boy. And then I'll do it again. Barley. Okay, good boy. Notice he loves his bed, and he also likes to guess what we're doing. Barley. Good boy. Which his guess was wrong. Okay, good boy. So I'm just going to help him succeed. Barley. So you're going to do, hey, Barley. This a couple times. Okay, good boy. Like 3 or 4 times, and then you can pet him, and you'll be done. but we're going to repeat this 2 or 3 times each day for the next 2 or 3 days. Now, my expectation, once again, is anytime that I call Barley over to me, he presents this, and this is how he gets my attention. So it's going to take him a little bit of time to build a relationship with you. So for the next 3 days, we are focusing solely on the manners. The obedience commands you can do a little bit, but you're not going to have the same expectations right off as I do. We want to keep them short and keep them positive. We don't want to create an opportunity for Barley to fail too often or to get frustrated. So we're going to focus on the manners and we're going to build our relationship. And that way, this expectation will transition over to you. I am not going to expect Barley to do this greeting for like every new person. One, I don't want him to, because I care more about our relationship versus how other people see my dog. Barley is also not going to want to meet every new person, and I don't want him thinking he needs to meet every new person. So if we're on a walk and people ask if they can pet your dog, I make a habit of saying no. The polite way to do it is say, no, he's in training, have him do this greeting for you, let those people walk away, and then we can continue. So like 95% of the time, I am telling people no. However, there are going to be people that maybe you know or you do need to stop and talk to, and there's also going to be people where you're okay with them petting Barley. So at that point, once again, I don't expect him to do this greeting for them. So the way that I do this is I'm going to walk up to them, I'll stop like six feet short, have Barley do this greeting for me, reward him, and then invite that person up. Hey. If Barley jumps, I'm going to correct him and I'm going to walk away. Even if that is like 5 or 6 feet away again, just to regain some composure and then invite them back up. Either way, I'm going to correct him and walk away. This is a big reason why I don't want people meeting Barley on leash or just random people anyway, because it's a lot harder to correct your dog in front of strangers or even people you know. And so we let him get away with maybe jumping or being ill-mannered. So I want to make sure that if you do let people meet him, we are correcting the incorrect behaviors. So if he jumps, I'm just going to say, no, Barley. We're going to get a few feet away. Come here. I'm going to help him regain his composure. Good boy, Barley. And then we can walk back up. I'll have him sit for me. Good boy. Pet him and then invite that person over. If he jumps, no, we walk away. So you're going to hear us talk about distance a lot. There's always an amount of distance that I can get to help Barley regain his focus. So we want to build this relationship with us, and then we can incorporate it with more and more strangers and build the expectation that this is the behavior that we expect with every new person. The other reason that I don't want everybody to be able to come up and meet Barley is because then you're going to get a dog that thinks every person on the street needs to pet him. He's going to get excited, he's going to pull more, get reactive more, and want to meet every person. And instead, I want him thinking that I'm the greatest thing, and when we see new people, he needs to look to me for information. So if Barley does jump up, so once again, the greeting is a replacement behavior for jumping, but if he does jump up, I'm going to correct him. So I'm going to tell him, no, off. So if he jumps up on me while I'm standing, I'll kind of step into him and bring my leg up. We're not extending the foot. We don't want to punt Barley across the room. He's very small, but I do need this quick shift in my body language to tell him, no, I don't appreciate that. If he jumps up on somebody and you have a hold of the leash, I'm going to tell him no, give him those 2 little pops and gain some distance from them. If he jumps up on the couch or anything that you don't want him to, even if he just puts paws up on the cabinet, I'm going to say no, off, and I might clap or snap just to help drive that point home. He's not allowed to jump up on anything. The other part of this is he doesn't even need to rear up. This was a classic Barley move, is he wanted to, well, he needed to compete for treats half the time. He was so small that he thought that he needed to stand up on his hind legs to try and meet me halfway and get the treat, which we never rewarded, and instead I pull that treat away and tell him gently. So gently has 2 parts to it. One is keeping all 4 paws on the ground, and the other part is being very soft when he takes treats. That part was not hard for Barley. He's always had a very soft mouth, and we've even practiced giving him treats between our thumb and forefinger, So I can tell him gently, and he's going to be very, very soft. In general, I give him treats in the palm of my hand. I cover him up with my thumb, and then once he shows that he's being soft, I can open that thumb up and allow him to get it. However, if he's sitting, come here, Barley, and he tries to rear up, I'm just going to tell him no gently, but notice all 4 paws on the ground. Okay, good boy. And then he gets that treat. Good boy. All right, next manner would be his mealtime manners. So anytime we feed Barley, I don't know if you actually touch the bells or not, buddy. Okay, mealtime manners. So anytime I feed Barley, I do expect him to hold a stay. This should be automatic. I just shake that bowl, he sits down, and then I can set it down. If at any time he breaks, that bowl comes back up, and I might even tell him no if he does it, again. Okay, good boy. So he waits, doesn't have to be very long, and then he has permission to eat, which he might not be very hungry. I mean, he just barely ate like 2.5 hours ago, so that's fine. If he doesn't eat, I take that food bowl away. He doesn't get just free access to his food. We always have a scheduled feeding time, which for us, it's 6 a.m. and between 5 and 6 p.m. I always take away his food at least 4 hours before he goes into a crate. But just to show you that again, I can shake that bowl. If he comes up, the bowl comes up. Okay, good boy. And then he's free to eat. Well, now you're gonna eat, good boy. Which I'm not gonna let him eat because, like I said, he just barely ate a little bit ago, and we have a lot to show you. We do spend a lot of time around Barley when he eats. I don't make a habit of taking his food bowl away because I don't want him to get possessive of it. And I wouldn't like it if somebody just came and took my plate away. So instead, sometimes I'll come over and I'll throw good things in his bowl, throw some treats in there, make it a very positive experience with me being around him when he eats. And we spend a lot of time just handling him, not only when he eats, but when he chews on things, like his bully sticks or his toys. Want to make sure that he's not going to guard any of that. We've also spent a lot of time just handling him like a vet or a groomer would, just to make sure that he's confident and comfortable. It's not his favorite thing in the world, and he's not a very confident dog anyway. And so we always make sure to pay him when we put him in uncomfortable situations. So if I'm clipping his nails, I might give him a treat after every paw. If he started like throwing a temper tantrum and pulling his paw away, I'll stop clipping, but I'm not going to let go of his paw. I'll help him get more comfortable, but I don't want him thinking that he can throw a temper tantrum and get away with, or just get out of whatever we're doing. Huh, good boy, good boy. If he started mouthing on me, like he started, see there, he kind of licked me, but if he ever put his teeth, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to close his muzzle. So I'm not clamping down, I'm not hurting him, it's just a quick no, correction, and then I remove my hands. It's like, if you're going to be ill-mannered, I'm not going to pet you. And it's the same thing if I am petting him, or if he comes up and tries to chew on shoelaces or a pant leg, I tell him no, close his muzzle, hands away. After he shows that he can be in control, I can go back to petting him again, but if he does it a second time, I'll get a little bit more firm, and then I'm going to remove myself from him. So, come here. Good boy, good boy. But he's been handled a lot of different ways. He's good with it. Oh, yeah, you're a good boy. And he's very polite. Good boy. Okay. So with toys or bully sticks, we'll see what he wants to play with. Oh, good boy. Okay. So like I said, I want him to be comfortable with me handling him. I also want him to drop objects when I ask him. So the way that I practice drop it is I just incorporate myself into his play. So the command, I'll say his name and then ask for that drop it. Want it to be very clear. I also want to be near him. Once he lets go, I'll say good, take it away, and then okay when he's free to have it again. So let him chew on that for just 1 second here. Barley, drop it. Good boy. He looks up at me. Okay. He lets me take it, and then I'll throw it and say okay. And this is the same thing with bully sticks or any objects. Even if he picks up something gross like on a walk, I can ask for a drop it. In that case, if it's something that's edible or if it's something really gross, I will give him a treat in return. However, when I'm playing with him, if I have a toy out, the food goes away. I never mix toys and food, because as soon as you do that, he's going to ignore the toy and only want the food, which I want to keep this toy drive. I don't want to diminish it. So, Barley, drop it. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. Which, as you can tell, he loves to play. He loves his toys. So this is a great way to exercise him, as well as just release maybe some of that mental buildup throughout the day. If he ignored me, I would just come right over his muzzle and just pinch my thumb and pointer finger into his mouth, kind of pinching his lips against his canines, and it's like a little eject button. But Barley's been fantastic with this. Barley, drop it. Oh, that's a good boy. That one, he basically offered it before I even got to the command. Okay. Oh, yeah. But he's doing great. If he's chewing on something he's not supposed to, so whether it be he found a shoe or a sock or a table leg, anything like that, I want to mark the incorrect behavior, redirect him into an appropriate one. So if it's a shoe or a sock, we can use that drop it command, and then I'm going to give him something to chew on. If it's something like a table leg or a baseboard, I'm going to tell him no, and then give him something to chew on. So you can use drop it if it's something that he can move around with, he can carry it. But if it's a permanent fixture, it's just a correction and then redirection. Barley is where he's a little bit smaller. He's taken longer to get to the teething phase. So he's just barely kind of getting there and starting to lose some teeth. So it's important that we give him things to chew on. And I let him pick whether he wants something hard or something soft. I don't just leave all of his toys and things out, because then he's going to get bored with it and go chew on something you don't want him to. However, I do want to give him some options just to match the need for his mouth. You can also look at what he's chewing on to determine what we're going to replace it with. If it's something soft, I'm going to give him something soft. If he's chewing on something hard, I'm going to give him something hard. So try and match his needs, because he does need to chew. So, Barley, you good boy. I believe those are all of our manners. So this is where our focus is going to be for the next 3 days. I want to make sure that he's not jumping, he's not chewing, he's being very polite, he's waiting at doorways and for his food. And by establishing these rules, you're going to help him understand what your expectations are, and he's going to quickly transition over to seeing you as that leader, which is just going to help all of the training transition over quicker. So now we're going to jump into our commands. And like I said, you can still do these commands over the next 3 days, but take it easy. We don't want to be pushing him to, what our standard has been in these next 3 days, because if he starts to break or he gets frustrated, you could kind of diminish these commands quicker than you're going to be able to build them up. So take it easy, focus on getting some victories in there, rewarding simple success, helping him understand that you're his new leader and developing that relationship. And you'll see once that relationship starts to take hold, these commands will just get right back up to standard very, very quickly. So first and foremost, we're going to take your toy. Barley. Good boy. Okay. The first command I am going to show you is his place command. So I'm going to pull him off the bed and then send him there. So if he goes onto the bed or into the crate on his own, he's free to leave whenever he wants. However, when I send him there, he's not allowed to come off until I tell him to. So first, Barley, come here. So we're going to get him off. Good boy. Good boy. So when I send him there, I'm going to say, Barley, place, and I will point, tell him good when he gets on, and he gets a treat. So he gets a treat when he comes on, not when he comes off. Now, Barley, the crate and the place command are his two favorites. They're very simple commands, but he does very, very well with them. Now, I will continue to reinforce him being in that place as he continues to stay. So it also depends on the distraction, on how frequent that is. So if I have my kids here, if there's a lot going on, I'll stay close and I will reinforce more often. Whereas when it's just me and Barley, it gets reinforced a lot less. Good boy. So when I reinforce it, I'll tell him good or good boy and give him another treat. So I want him to think he's going to get far more rewards when he's in place than when he comes off. So that's why we don't give him any for coming off. Good boy. So we're going to add a little variation here. I'm going to leave the room as well as his sight. Good boy. Okay, good dog. Good boy. So I'll still tell him he's a good boy and pet him, but no food reward. Barley, Barley. Place. See, he's just gonna guess. Barley, place. Good. With these two commands, Barley thinks that he can train himself. But he often, sometimes he guesses right, like he did guess the place. I didn't want him guessing. I wanted him to listen to my command. But then when I brought him off, you notice how he immediately then guessed the crate. So, which there's nothing inherently wrong there. I just want to make sure that he's listening to me and understanding the direction that I am giving him. Good boy. Now we've been working on place being a universal command. So we've sent him into boxes or onto rugs or towels or just a number of different platforms basically. My stipulation there is it needs to have a defined boundary. So as long as it has a very defined boundary, you can use place in a lot of different situations. The key is being close and allowing him to read your body language. And when I do introduce something new, especially if it's flat like a rug or a blanket, I'm going to lure him on, reward once he's on, and almost guide him off a little bit so that I can give him a very simple correction. And when I say very simple, it's just no. Help him stay put, release him, and then send him back on. So that way he can understand where the boundary is and that the same rules apply. The raised bed here, Barley loves, as you can tell. And that one's a very easy place for him to understand because the boundary is very, very clear. Good boy. Now, I love place. I use this all the time. I've taught my dogs that when somebody comes to the door, they're expected to go to their place. You can also use this if you're bringing in groceries and you just need him out of the way, or a number of different situations. So I absolutely love this command. Okay, good boy. No reward when coming off. So now, Barley, crate. So crate is very similar. I point, he gets the treat when he goes in, not when he comes out. Okay, good boy. Crate. So our standard for this command is to actually tap on top. Okay. However, Barley's crate is very low, and so we quickly built that up to where I no longer had to tap. I could just point. So that way I didn't have to bend over as often. Barley, crate. So I can point, give him the treat when he goes in. Okay. Notice the stay for this is a lot shorter because if he's going to be in there for a longer duration of time, I am going to close that door. If Barley ever hesitates, I'm just going to stay right here, keep my hand out. Good boy. Just so he can read my body language and be successful. Good boy. Okay, good dog. We've also been working on building some distance here because the crate is generally going to be in the same spot or at least the same crate. And so you could almost build this up, or you can build this up to where you can send him to his crate from anywhere in the house. Barley, crate, good boy. Okay, good dog. So that's place and crate. I am now, come here, I'm gonna move his bed out of the way a little bit and show you our sit down and stay. So Sit, the hand signal for that is a little scoop over the nose. The palm is up with a closed fist. Down, I take my hand flat and it's off to the side. And then stay is a stop sign. So the down was probably Barley's hardest command to figure out. He just did not want to lay down. So we ended up using some light leash pressure. Now he offers that down all the time, and he does it very quickly. So Barley, come here. I didn't put you in there. So and then stay is a stop sign. So I'm going to show you those. Barley, sit, down, stay. Notice he didn't get a treat for the sit or the down. He will get it at the very end when he's finished with the stay. If he comes up at all, I consider that a break. I'll tell him no, and then we'll reset. Okay, good boy. Good boy. So these stays are shorter than the place because they are more position specific. Where place, we can get a longer stay because he can move around and get comfortable. Whereas if I put him in a down stay, he has to stay down. Now, if I put him in a sit stay, I am okay if he lays down because it's more stable. It's more points of contact to the floor. Whereas if he's in that down stay, he's not allowed to come up even into a sit. Barley, come here. Sit, stay. No, so there, that's considered a break. So I'm gonna have him do it again. Sit, stay. Okay, good boy. So Barley, with taking a little bit longer, grasping onto these stays, we're hitting the 20-second mark, but it's still with pretty light distractions. He can do shorter stays with heavier distractions, but that's something we want to continue to build up. So continually add our 3Ds. So distance, duration, distraction. Barley, come here. Sit. Down, stay. Now when I put Barley into that down, good, stay. So there he was anticipating the break or anticipating the release and he broke. So I just told him no and reset. So talking over a dog is a pretty good distraction because he's just listening for that inflection of the word. Okay, good boy, good boy. So if Barley hesitates with the down, if I ask him down and he hesitates, then I will gradually lower that hand and adjust my body language to help him figure out what I'm asking. If he breaks, I'll tell him no, reset it, have him do it again. However, if he breaks 3 times in a row, it's too hard. Whatever we're doing, whether he's done it before, Barley, good boy, good boy. Whatever is going on, could be internal or external, whatever it is, it's too hard. And so if he breaks 3 times in a row, I'm gonna make it easy and break that behavior down to the simplest form. So if we were working on a down stay, maybe he kept breaking at 15 seconds, then I might try a 5-second down stay just to make sure I get a victory and help him succeed. That way I can reward him and he doesn't get frustrated. And then depending on what's going on, we can work on building him back up. Or maybe it has been a little longer of a training session, so we might end there and then work on building him back up tomorrow. There's no need to push and push and push to the point where you get frustrated or he gets frustrated. That will just damage your commands and your relationship more than it will benefit them. Good boy. But Barley's been doing great, seeing a lot of success over the last few days. So very happy with where he's at. Just continue to help him improve and strengthen those commands. So, okay, outside, good boy. So now we're going to take him back out and then we will do the leave it command. Okay, good boy. Okay, good boy. All right, I am going to grab some high value rewards. Looks like we got some cheese here, Mr. Barley. And And then I am going to grab some treats that I can throw on the ground and use as leave it. So leave it means leave it forever. So as he gets older, you can implement a wait for it command. That way you can put treats on his paws and nose and have him wait, and then you release him and he eats them, and that's really cute. With the leave it command, I want him to know that he can't go back and grab it, and he needs to be able just to completely leave it alone. So anytime that I'm using food or treats, something that Barley regularly eats, I am going to make sure that I have a hold of the leash so that I can give him a little correction if he tries to go for it. So this is a good way to set him up and a good way to practice it. But I just want to make sure that I am managing the situation. So I'm going to take a hold of this leash and spill my treats. Now, once Barley gets up, you can see that he's almost anticipating that command. You can tell that we've practiced it. So here we go. Now, leave it. Good boy. Good boy. Notice how then he's able just to completely walk past it. And I let him get pretty close on that initial one, and then I asked for that leave it. He immediately sat down and looked at me, which was great. Good boy. And if I ask him to leave something, I'm going to continually reinforce the leave it as he continues to leave it alone. So I'll continue to reward him as he's paying attention to me. If we were on a walk, and maybe there was something gross on the side of the road, I would say leave it, and then, oh, good boy, good boy, good boy, and continually reward him as we got past it. Here, where they're treats, good dog. While they're on the ground, I will continue to reward him. And the hardest part of using treats and something I have to clean up is once I actually bend down, because he's used to getting food from our hands. Now our hands are cleaning that up. Good dog, good boy. He kind of thought about it there. And anyway, they always want to move in towards our hands. So I have to make sure even here, he doesn't get to grab one. No, leave it. So there I can give him just a very simple correction. And then, good boy, okay. Reward him when they're gone. So you can use leave it once again on like walks. You can use leave it if you spill something while you're cooking you don't want him to get. It's just anything that he is not allowed to go and check out or to pick up. So I don't use leave it for like stationary things or anything that's like a constant in his life. So like furniture or potted plants or anything like that. That's just a correction and we manage the situation. Leave it as something that I can either take away from Barley or take him away from. So that is our commands. Now I am going to just adjust our camera angle and we are going to go into his leash work where we'll cover the heel, engagement, what to do if he pulls, our long lead walks, and our recall. So good heel, good boy. All right, good boy. Heel. So we have two different types of walks, or technically three that we go on. We have the heel, which is for you. This is not for Barley. This is not how you exercise Barley. Then we have a long lead walk, and for us, we've been doing an off-leash walk, which the off-leash walk is great if you have the area, but I'm very slow to introduce that just to make sure that he is going to come back when called first. Good boy. Oop, throwing him at you. So the heel, heel, once again is for you. This is not how we exercise Barley. This is how we get past distractions, and this is how we go from point A to point B. Good boy. So my expectation during this heel is that Barley is on my left side. He keeps a nice slack leash and he pays attention to me. So he's not allowed to check out any of the distractions along the way. So I use the heel mixed in with our long lead walk all the time. It's like we're walking, he gets all the space on the long lead, and then I see maybe a jogger or a biker coming. So I have him heel, we get past the distraction, and then he's released and can have his space again. So during this heel, I expect him to continually put his focus on me. He doesn't have to stare at me the whole time because he can look forward to see where we're going, but he's not allowed to stare at distractions, to pull, or to get distracted at all. So in order to keep his attention, especially as a puppy, I need to do something in order to do that. So for me, I give him a lot of feedback. So when I'm walking him on a heel, I'm constantly praising him and telling him he's doing a good job. And as it's a harder distraction, I give him a higher frequency of rewards. Barley, heel. I expect him to match my pace in a heel. So if I slow down, he slows down. Good boy. Good boy. Heel. If I speed up, he speeds up. Notice how he keeps looking up at me. Good boy. Good dog. And I'm continually reinforcing this behavior with a lot of feedback and rewards. And then when I stop, I expect him to stop and he should sit. Notice he's off to my side and not in front of me. Good boy. So that way I can continue walking when I need. If he doesn't sit right there, I'll give him a little leash pressure back to help him understand to sit right there. So I use my leash pressure to give him information during this walk. If I need to turn away from him, I can give him a little pressure this way. Good boy. If I need to turn into him, I'll give him a little leash pressure to the side so that I don't kick him. Good boy. So we've taught Barley to recognize leash pressure and recognize that it's giving him information. We don't use that to drag him around. That's also why my correction for pulling is 2 pops up. It's not pulling him back because I use this leash pressure to convey information. So if he starts to pull, I'm going to initially, if I can just regain his attention by saying, hey, Barley, something like that, I will. Good boy. That way I don't need to correct him, especially if he's just barely noticed the distraction. I can just quickly regain his focus. However, if he continues to pull, I am going to correct him. So I would tell him no, and then pop that leash. So it's no, pop, pop, which my pops for Barley are like just flexing my finger. It doesn't take much, and he's very receptive to a correction. However, if he ignored that and he continued to pull, I will tell him no one more time, and those pops are going to be a little bit more firm. So let's say he ignored my Barley, he started to pull, I would tell him no, pop, pop. If he continued to pull, it'd be no, pop, pop, get a little bit more firm. If he continued to pull and he ignored those corrections, it would be insanity to try and correct him again that way. So instead, I will come to a complete stop and have a little check-in here. So I am never progressing towards a distraction if Barley is pulling. So instead, I come to a complete stop. He's going to turn around and go, hey, what's going on? I have him sit, almost have a little pep talk with him, like, hey, you need to focus on me. He shows that he's no longer pulling. We will start to walk again. If at any point in this, he continues to walk polite, whether it be after his name, after a correction, or after we stop, I'll take a few steps and then reward him. I want to make sure that I reward when he's walking politely because I want that replicated. Now, if we stopped and then we continued to walk again and he went back to pulling, now I'm going to do a 180. I'm going to give him that leash pressure back so I can walk through him, and now we are walking away from the distraction. And we're going to go at a quick pace. Once he regains his attention, then I can turn around and start walking back in that direction. And I will do this zigzag, Barley, as many times as it takes. So we're just going this way. Now we're going to turn around. So that way Barley learns that he needs to pay attention to me so that he doesn't get popped, he doesn't get stepped on, and we can have a very nice heel. So I consider even right there what he was doing, pulling. He put a little tension in the leash, so I did some sort of a correction to help him understand, hey, you can't pull, you need to focus on me. So that's what to do if he pulls, and he's not allowed to pull no matter the length of the leash. But a heel, he needs to be right here next to me. He doesn't get to put any tension in the leash. I'm okay if he's like half a step in front of me or half a step behind, but he also doesn't get to lag. He doesn't get to dig his heels in. He has to keep walking and keep moving. So there is going to come a time where whatever distraction you encounter, come here, Barley, is going to be too hard for Barley. And what's going to happen is this pulling is going to turn into reactivity. So he's going to start barking. He's going to get maybe a little out of control. For Barley, I think it's going to be more fear-based, and he's going to want to quickly just run away And so he's entered into this red zone where he can no longer focus, and so trying to walk past the distraction is pointless. So instead, I'm going to engage with him. So initially, I'm going to give him that opportunity to fix his mistake or regain his focus on me. So I'm going to say, hey, Barley, focus. If he cannot, if you can see that he's just yanking around like a wild fish on a line, and he's got reactive, he's barking, he's trying to get out of there, I'm not going to go through the other steps. Instead, I'm going to skip right to getting distance. I'm going to step through him. We're going to get distance, whether that's 5 feet off the side of the road or whether that's 50 feet the other direction. I'm going to get just enough distance to help him start to come out of that red zone to where I can start getting just a flicker of attention. At that point, I'm going to stop walking. I'm going to put my back towards the distraction, so that way, hey, Barley, my body language, Barley, come here. Good boy. So let me back up. I'm going to get enough distance, put myself between him and the distraction, so my back's towards the distraction. This way my body language tells Barley, I'm not worried about that, you shouldn't either. And then once I get a little flicker of eye contact, I'm going to reward it. He sits down, I'm going to reward it. So I'm rewarding a lot of very simple victories here. Once he shows that he's coming out of this, he's relaxing a little bit, then I'll open up so that we can see the distraction. And I'm going to reward him for being calm. I'm going to reward him for sitting. Once again, rewarding a lot of simple victories. This way, we can observe the distraction without interacting. And once he's fully focusing on me, then we might be able to walk back towards it and work on building his confidence with whatever that distraction may be. But I don't want to coddle him. I don't want to scoop him up and be like, oh, it's okay. However, he is small enough that if he's just way out of control, just freaking out over whatever distraction it is, I can pick him up, but I consider it air jail. I'm not petting him. I'm not saying, oh, it's okay. I'm just getting a little bit of distance to set him down and now reward him as we observe. I like to set Barley up and go play the game of, or what we call the art of doing nothing. Barley, come here. Where we'll just go sit on a bench and watch the world go by. I'm going to reward him for being calm. I'm going to reward him for observing. But that way we can work on building confidence in his surroundings in a situation where he does not have to interact. I will never allow Barley to greet another dog on leash. Even if the other dog's on leash or if the other dog's off leash, doesn't matter. He does not need to meet them. The majority of the times, that outcome is not going to be good. So I never do on-leash greetings. Instead, if there is like a friend with a dog, we can go to a park, go walk together so that they're in kind of the same general area, but they're not interacting yet, just to make sure everybody's cool. And then when we get to the park, we can give them some space to where they can, check each other out and play. But I don't want to go face-to-face on-leash. Instead, do what I just described. So that's what to do in a heel, what to do if he pulls, and how to engage with him. Now we're going to put the long lead on, talk about that long lead walk and the recall. Are you getting tired? Oh, good boy. I think he just wants to go and lay down. So the long lead is how I prefer to walk Barley. So this gives him space to where he can check things out. We can go at his pace. He can stop and sniff whatever he wants. This way he can just really release some of that mental buildup throughout the day. It's important to let your dog sniff. It's important to let them exercise. And most walks that people go on, like a little walk around the block where the dog's right here next to us, that doesn't exercise your dog. You think about us, if we just go for a short little walk, it's not like we get our heart rate up. So it's important that you give him an opportunity to actually exercise. And the long lead provides that opportunity. Barley, come here. Good boy. So when I'm on this walk, I just let this leash drag, and he can check out whatever he wants. We're going to go at his pace. He wants to stop and sniff something, we'll stop and sniff something. But he's still not allowed to pull. So anytime that he does hit the end of the leash, this is when I practice our recall. So you are going to get used to walking over this leash, switching hands. I said we're going at his pace. But once we get to the end, I'm going to say, Barley, come. Good boy. Okay. So we're going to practice that recall, which is Barley, come. If he ignores me, I have this leash to reel him in. The moment that he starts to come towards me, I am going to reward that with a good. And then once he gets to me, it's okay and he gets a treat. So it's Barley, come. Good boy. Okay. So I will do this every time he hits the end of the leash or he's about to hit the end of the leash. So this way I'm really reinforcing this command. It's fun for him. He's still getting to check things out, but then he does a little check-in, gets a treat, and gets to go back. Barley, come. Good boy. Okay. So Barley has a great recall, but this is your most important command, and it's one you need to practice a lot. And I want to make sure that he's 100% with this command before I let him off leash. If I let him off leash and he fails, immediately he goes back on. Like I don't play the game. He doesn't need to think that he can ignore this command because it's one of our most important. Barley, come. No. Good boy. Good boy. So notice there, he started to come towards me, got distracted, wanted to pick up the leash. So I said no. He quickly recognized that. And the moment he turned and gave me his attention back, I said good boy, which was encouraging the behavior, and then rewarded him, hey, when he got to me. So this is Barley losing his attention. He's kind of done working, which is okay because we're at the end of our demonstration. The last thing I want to show you is if he ignored this and I had to reel him in, it does not take very much pressure. So I could say, no, good boy, good boy. Literally, I said no, kind of flexed my hand, put just a little bit of pressure there, and he came running towards me. So even if he ignores my recall and I have to tell him no, the moment he starts to come towards me, I am going to say good and encourage that. So a failed recall, you use all three markers. No, good, okay, good boy. Notice how excited and receptive he is to that good marker. It's encouraging, it tells him that he's doing the right thing, and that when he gets to me, he's going to get some type of reward. If he's ever off leash and he fails, you have to go and get him. You cannot say, I'll worry about you later. Even if he's just in the backyard, if you tell him to come, he has to do it. If he ignored me, I would tell him no and start walking towards him. Good boy, good boy. Notice, though, how receptive he is, good boy, to those marker words. The no, he immediately looks at me, and I can praise him and have him come to me. If he continued to ignore me, if I said no, I would walk all the way to him. Once I got his attention, so even, good boy, if I went 90% of the way there, once I regain that attention and he starts to come towards me, I reward that behavior. But if I got 100% of the way to him, I would tell him no, hook on a leash, or maybe grab under his collar, tell him to come and have him follow me. So that way I can redirect him into that appropriate behavior or help him have a successful command. So that is our training demonstration. If you have any questions, please let me know. We'll go through them. Barley's a very good boy. Come here. Good boy. Like I said, he's a little sensitive, but he's very, very sweet. I think you guys will love him. Just understand with that sensitivity, we have to make sure that we build his confidence and help him succeed. We don't want him thinking that every new situation he should run and hide from. Instead, we want to help him understand that we can be brave and that we are going to take care of him. That's one of the most important things for him to understand, is that you being his leader means that you are going to take care of him, and he doesn't need to worry about all the distractions or the things around because you're his partner. Focus on the manners first, build this relationship with him, and then everything else will follow suit. The heel command is the one that will take probably the longest to transition over, just because he needs to fully trust you and trust that you're going to take care of him for him to completely ignore the distractions around. So that one we want to practice quite a bit. Practice in areas where the least amount of distractions, and then slowly implement them. But once again, as you get him home, if you have questions, don't hesitate to let me know. But Barley's a good little dog, and I hope you enjoy him. Thanks.